Friends, please subscribe, like, and comment. This is very important to us. Stoic or psychopath? The line between wisdom and coolness is blurred. You're looking at a man who didn't blink when he was fired, didn't flinch when his partner left, didn't shed a tear at the funeral. What is it? Strength of spirit? Or an emptiness within? Where's the line between the wisdom of a Stoic and the coldness of a psychopath? This question is older than philosophy, but today it resonates louder than ever. Take Seneca, Nero's teacher, the richest man in Rome. His texts are full of wisdom about humility, simplicity, and emotional control. But he himself lived in luxury. He mentored a tyrant, and in the end, he received an order from the one he taught to die. Seneca slit his wrists. He died slowly and painfully, maintaining complete calm. Is this the pinnacle of Stoicism? Or something else? External similarities. A cool head. From the outside, both a Stoic and a psychopath look the same. They don't scream with anger. They don't weep with grief. They don't dance with joy. Their reactions are muted, but the reasons are opposite. A Stoic is aware of emotions, feels them, but doesn't let them guide their decisions. He's like an experienced rider on a wild horse. The horse's emotions, powerful, unpredictable, but the rider holds the reins tightly. He chooses a direction. A psychopath doesn't feel emotions, or rather, not all of them. His horse doesn't exist. He walks, coldly, calculatingly, but without inner warmth, without struggle. He has nothing to control. One consciously suppresses emotions. The other doesn't have them naturally. Go, what's the difference? Here's the key. The Stoic strives for virtue, for inner peace, for harmony with oneself and others. His coldness is a tool, not a goal. He uses reason to avoid harm, to act justly even in anger. The psychopath strives for personal gain, pleasure, power. His coldness is an innate trait. He has no empathy. He feels no guilt. People are tools to him, pawns. The Stoic sees others as equals, part of the common good. The psychopath sees objects. Seneca, an example from ancient times. Let's return to Seneca. His life is a test of ideas. He wrote, "Wealth is not evil, but dependence on it is evil." He himself owned villas, gardens, money. Is this hypocrisy or the complexity of life? He taught Nero wisdom, but Nero became a tyrant. He executed his mother, killed his brother, set fire to Rome. Where was his teacher? Why didn't he stop him? Stoicism doesn't make a person omnipotent. Seneca tried to influence him, but the emperor's power proved stronger than the philosopher's words. His death is a result of this struggle. He accepted it without fear, as a final lesson for a student, as an act of control over the last thing he had left, his own life. Was he a true Stoic? Yes. Was he perfect? No. But his example shows that philosophy doesn't make a person a god. It makes them more conscious. But what if a psychopath starts playing Stoic? Today, Stoicism has become fashionable. Books are selling. Blogs are proliferating. Business coaches, athletes, and politicians are using its ideas. Among them, there may be those who are naturally lacking in empathy. They put on a mask of calm. They quote Marcus Aurelius. They talk about control. But underneath lies calculation, manipulation. How can you tell the difference? Look at the actions, not the words. A Stoic helps others, even when it's not profitable. A psychopath uses others, even when they claim to help. A Stoic admits their mistakes. A psychopath blames their surroundings. A Stoic strives for peace. A psychopath strives for victory at any cost. Can Stoicism make you colder? Yes, if used incorrectly. If you suppress all emotions indiscriminately. Not feeling means not living fully. Anger shows that we care. Sadness shows that we loved. Joy shows that we are alive. The goal of Stoicism is not to destroy emotions. It is to prevent them from destroying us and those around us. If after reading these books you become more indifferent to your loved ones, this is a warning sign. You're missing the point. Summary: a thin line. The line is indeed thin. It runs within everyone. A Stoic suppresses emotions for the greater good. A psychopath doesn't feel them because of their nature. One walks toward the light, the other into darkness. Seneca died a Stoic. But his life raises questions. Is it possible to be perfect? No. Is it possible to strive? Yes. Don't strive for complete indifference. Strive for understanding. Control what you can control. Accept what you can't. But never lose your humanity. Otherwise, the wisdom of a Stoic will turn into the cold-bloodedness of a monster. And you won't even notice how you've crossed a line. Modern Stoics. How to distinguish a sage from a manipulator. Today, being a Stoic has become a trend. Social media features motivational quotes from Marcus Aurelius. Business coaching exhorts emotional resilience. At work, admiration is expressed to those who don't fall for emotions. But behind many of these masks lies not wisdom, but calculation. How can one tell the difference? A psychopath uses a language of Stoicism as a tool of control. They say, "I'm just staying calm. It's your problem that you're so emotional." They discount the feelings of others, calling them weaknesses. Meanwhile, they portray their own coldness as strength. A true Stoic never uses their philosophy to humiliate others. They don't say, "You're too sensitive." They say, "I understand how you feel, but let's look at it this way." They acknowledge emotions, both their own and others, but they choose not to give in to them. Remember, if someone uses Stoicism to justify their indifference to others, they are not a Stoic. They are either delusional or manipulative. Why does society confuse Stoicism with insensitivity? Our culture is accustomed to vivid displays of emotion, tears in movies, hysterics on talk shows, angry posts on social media. Against this backdrop, a person who remains silent within seems strange. They are suspected of callousness. But silence does not mean emptiness. Calm does not mean indifference. A Stoic can experience deep emotions, but they do so internally. They don't display them. They don't demand reassurance. They are their own support. A psychopath, on the other hand, doesn't experience them at all. They don't care. And this difference is visible in the long term. A Stoic becomes warmer over time, wiser. They learn to feel, but to manage their feelings. A psychopath remains cold, empty. How to test yourself? Are you on the path to Stoicism or insensitivity? Ask yourself, do you suppress your emotions or learn to understand them? Does your calmness help you be kinder to others or more indifferent? Do you control your anger to avoid harm or to avoid showing weakness? Do you acknowledge your mistakes or always look for excuses? The answers will reveal your true motivation. Stoicism is about development, about growth, about love for humanity. If you become harder, colder, more withdrawn, you've taken the wrong turn. A story that puts everything in perspective. Imagine two people in an accident. Both are injured, but both are calm. The first says, "I'm fine. Check on that kid." His voice is steady. His hands aren't shaking. He helps others while he waits for help. The second says, "Everything is under control. I just have a scratch." But he sits there. He doesn't move. He doesn't offer help. His face is expressionless. Which one is a Stoic? Which is a psychopath? The first is a Stoic. He controls his fear to act. The second is perhaps in shock, or perhaps simply indifferent. His calm isn't a choice but a lack of emotion. In a critical situation, the difference is immediately apparent. The Stoic acts. The psychopath remains inactive. Can you become a Stoic if you're naturally emotional? Yes. In fact, it's precisely these people who need Stoicism the most. You don't need to kill your emotions. You need to channel them. Anger? Use it to protect the weak, not to insult the offender. Sadness? Let it teach you to appreciate what you had, not to make you depressed. Fear? Let it warn you of danger, not to paralyze you. Stoicism isn't about the absence of emotions. It's about transforming them. Just as an alchemist turns lead into gold, a Stoic transforms destructive feelings into constructive action. What's more important? Controlling emotions or understanding them? Both. But understanding is primary. If you don't understand why you're angry, how can you control your anger? If you don't know why you're sad, how can you find comfort? The ancient Stoics wrote extensively about self-knowledge. Know thyself is the foundation. Without it, any control is repression. and repression leads a breakdown. First, awareness, then management. Modern psychology confirms this. Therapy begins with accepting feelings. Only then come regulation techniques. Stoicism is a philosophy of action, but action must be conscious. How not to break under pressure, like Seneca. Seneca lost to Nero, but he won against death. His final moments are a lesson in fortitude. He didn't scream. He didn't beg. He accepted the inevitable. He maintained his dignity. But could he have avoided this fate? Probably not. Under tyranny, even a wise man is powerless. Today, we encounter such extremes less often, but the pressures of society, work, and family still exist. How to remain stoic. Choose your battles wisely. Control what you can. Let go of what you can't. Sometimes it's enough to simply not give in to provocation. Be silent when you want to scream. Smile when you want to cry. This is not weakness. It's strength. Conclusion. A Stoic is not a superhuman. He is a person who strives. There is no need to strive for complete equanimity. It's unattainable, and it's not necessary. A Stoic is not a robot. He feels pain, loss, disappointment, but he does not allow them to destroy him. He's like a rock in a storm. The waves crash against it, but it stands firm, not because it doesn't feel the blows, but because it's stronger than them. A psychopath isn't a rock. He's nothing. He has nothing to break. That's his weakness. So who is stronger? The one who has overcome himself, or the one who has nothing to overcome? The answer is obvious. Stoicism is a journey, not a destination. Follow it, but don't lose yourself. Remember, the main thing is not to become insensitive, but to become wise. And wisdom is always combined with compassion. Be strong, but remain human. It is in this balance that true strength lies. The art of living between two fires. We've reached the central question. How do we live in a world where emotion is considered weakness and insensitivity is considered strength? How do we find a golden mean between explosive emotionality and icy calm? The answer lies in the old Stoic principle. Distinguish between what is within your control and what is not. Emotions arise involuntarily. They are beyond your control. But what you do with these emotions is entirely your responsibility. Imagine yourself as a bus driver. The passengers are your emotions. They shout, argue, cry, laugh. You can't silence them, but you can prevent them from taking the wheel. Your job is to steer the bus to its destination, ignoring the noise. This is Stoicism in action, not a quiet bus without passengers, but a confident driver who listens to the noise but doesn't give in to provocation. Why does the modern world need true Stoics? Today's world is a storm of information. Social media provokes outbursts of anger. News sows anxiety. Advertising creates false needs. It's easy to lose yourself in this chaos. A Stoic becomes an anchor, not only for themselves, but for others as well. Their calm isn't detachment. It's a safe haven where those tired of the storm can come. They don't say, stop feeling. They say, let's figure out what you're feeling and why. They don't deny the pain of the world. They offer a way to live with it without breaking down. How can Stoicism be applied in everyday life without going to extremes? Here are simple rules that don't require turning into a robot. First, morning mindset. Before the day begins, ask yourself, what could go wrong? How will I respond to that? This isn't pessimism. It's preparation, like a fire drill. Second, evening review. In the evening, recall an episode where emotions got the better of you. Analyze it without self-flagellation. What triggered the reaction? How could you have responded differently? Third, the right to pause. Before reacting to provocation, take a deep breath. Count to 5. This breaks the automatic response. Fourth, separate events. Ask yourself, is this event truly a catastrophe or just a minor setback? More often than not, it turns out to be just a setback. Fifth, focus on action. Instead of I'm furious, ask, what can I do now in this situation? Translate emotion into an action plan, a story that inspires. A young man once came to a Stoic philosopher. He said, I try not to feel pain, but it still comes. Am I a failure? The philosopher replied, have you seen the old city walls? They have scars from battles, cracks from time, but the walls still stand. They haven't become weaker because of these scars. They become stronger. Your emotions aren't your enemies. They're scars that show you persevered. Don't try to hide them. Be proud of them and keep on standing. Final warning. Don't repeat Seneca's mistakes. Seneca's life is not only a lesson in resilience, it's also a warning. He accumulated wealth, surrounded himself with luxury. He became a hostage to his position. His affair with Nero became a trap. Stoicism isn't just about inner freedom. It's also about outer freedom. If your life is full of things you're afraid of losing, you're vulnerable. A true Stoic lives simply, not because he's poor, but because he's free. He knows that the fewer attachments he has to material things, the harder it is to trap him. Check yourself. What are you afraid of losing? Money? Reputation? Status? If this list is long, you're easily manageable. Reduce dependencies. Increase freedom. The bottom line, your choice. Every morning, when you wake up, you choose. Who will you be today? A soulless robot afraid to feel? A hysterical person who reacts to every little thing? Or a Stoic who acknowledges their emotions but doesn't let them rule their life? The choice is yours. Stoicism isn't a goal. It's a compass. It doesn't promise an easy life, but it gives you the strength to navigate any storm. With dignity, with a clear mind, with a warm heart. Be strong, but remain human. That's where your true strength lies.